Welcome to a new episode of Flirting with a Fish. A fish that is a passion, a mission, or a dream that one chases so madly that it almost is like flirting. Flirting because it all may sound irrational to others, but to our guest, it is the way of life. Keshav practices parkour, a form of fitness routine that technically is about moving one's body from one point to another without support. And this may sound just fine to you because we all move from one point to another often without any support too. So what is the big deal here, isn't it? Well, the world of parkour is about mental and physical fitness, a movement practice. It does include jumping from one point to another. But being a sport, this point could be the top of a wall, a pipe, a plank, or maybe just moving from one branch of a tree to another. It's about being in a flow, a rhythm of one's own body, and not considering an obstacle as an obstacle, but an object to be crossed swiftly. So, what sort of a person would that be who spent several years studying, making a good career in his high paying corporate job, to eventually start jumping from one wall to another, one pipe to another? Keshav Sharma. Keshav manages multiple businesses from content creation to sports, photography, films, and the mysterious high-tech world of blockchains and NFT today. Most of his explorations also did get affected by the pandemic, and yet he's finding newer ways to keep flirting with his fish. Let us hear about Keshav's unusual choice of starting up Vanarshala, his context, and his choices. My name is SoniaChoksi. So let's bring him on. Hey Keshav, how are you?
Hi, Sonia. I'm good. How are you?
Very good, very good. Welcome to the episode. It is my honor to host you and be a connection between you and our listeners.
Thank you so
Thank
much.
you.
It's my pleasure too.
Lovely. So Keshav, you're the co-founder of Vanarshala, where one out of the many things that you do, one of the major practices parkour, a practice that you say is the future of fitness. So when did you first get to know about it yourself?
Uh, it was about 5 years back, a little more than 5 years back, really, when I was practicing to take part in a reality show, in a corporate fitness reality show. That was when I wanted to train myself to overcome certain physical obstacles. And then that was when I got introduced to it. A lot of my friends recommended me to watch this program which used to come on AXN, American Ninja Warrior, and also there was one more program which was Takashi's Castle. So it was something similar to that, and that's when I met my friend Aman, who's my business partner now. So I started training with him, under him, and I started learning the nuances of the human body's movement and how the possibilities are endless if you stick to exploring what your body can do.
Well, so 5 years or a little more. So it's fairly a new innovation in obstruction and movement practice. 5 years is hardly any time.
Yeah, it started in France in the late 90s, if I'm not wrong, or early 90s, in the 90s. And then it started coming to India and other places, started going to other places in the world. And we started seeing this in Bollywood when we saw films like Thor and other movies where there was a lot of action. People were running and jumping and leaping and climbing and doing all those stunts. So uh, it looks very risky and it looks very, very flamboyant, very amazing. It has an amazing aesthetic look to it. But when you do it, when you practice it, it's actually very grounded. It's about just trying to understand what your body is. And more often than not, these people who are doing these stunts are not taking any risks. They just know their limitations and they are trying to expand their own capabilities within that limit of skills that they have.
Wow. Yes, exactly. I mean, from a person outside of it, it does look extremely risky, and it looks like the people who are doing would have the super flexible body. But when you say that the people who are doing it are actually working within the limits of their body, that does surprise me, honestly.
Actually,
Thank
that's
you.
the key. That's the key. If you don't know what your limits are, then definitely you will get hurt. But if you know you can easily jump 10 feet and you're jumping 8 feet, that's what normally happens. You if you're in front of the camera or if you're taking part in a competition, what you're doing is actually slightly less than what you're actually capable of.
Wow. So, were you always into sports, or did you grow up into taking up any other career before this?
Hmm. A very interesting question. I don't know how to answer this, but I will try. So I have uh, always wanted to do something which was related to sports and physical fitness. But I did pursue a lot of different things before reaching where I am today. And I still feel that I have a really long way to go. So it started with cricket back when I was very young, I think 12 or 13. And it was so I started playing cricket. Initially, it was cricket. Then uh, I stopped cricket because my family members did not really want me to pursue cricket, and they wanted me to, be a part of the family business. So I tried that. After that, I did my master's, and I desperately wanted to move out of my home. So I moved out and did my master's. And after my master's, I worked as a marketer for more than a decade. And while I was working as a marketer, I met Aman and I took part in that competition. And then everything changed again. I flipped back to fitness and I quit my job. And now I'm full time in fitness. Uh, The business is fitness and the practice every day is fitness.
So that's like, that looks like a series of choices that you make, which it at one point do not even look interconnected.
Yeah,
So you just,
absolutely. Yeah, you can't really plan something like this. It's just that, you have to go with the flow. And there was one thing for sure, when I was working, I was not really happy. And I did have a lot of, good things. Actually, I was in a job where I could have asked for more in terms of exposure or money or, growth within the organization. It was just a job that people would die for, especially if you are considering today's scenario, because a lot of people are losing jobs and finding a good job with a decent company that doesn't fire you is all one can ask for. So I was with such employers, who really made sure that the employees were taken care of and they were given all the opportunities and possibilities that they could have in their career. They were genuinely interested in helping the employees grow. And in spite of that, I was not happy because I knew that what I was doing uh, was not in sync with what gives me happiness. And that's the reason why, I moved out and I thought maybe I should do something of my own.
sure. But even when we do things of our own at a point like this, often it is in a related environment, something that we've picked up in these few years of growing up, and to leverage that, so to say, and grow further. But again, what I'm present to the fact in your sharing is how distinct have your choices been. And of course, when you were making either of the choice to be playing cricket or to move into becoming a marketer, at that point of time, that would have been the best decision you could have taken, anyways, isn't it?
Hmm. Yeah, actually, I was not very serious about taking up a job, to be honest, because I remember in 2008 when that was also not a very good time to get a job because the economy was down and the US was hit by a major subprime. crisis and recession, and a lot of multinationals were not hiring. So I got that job, and I'm really thankful. That job was possible because I was a part of the placement cell in college, and I was coordinating with this guy who was the marketing head of Nikon, and I was really after his life to come to my college and hire from the college. And he said, I don't think I'll be able to come, but since you've been so persistent in follow up, why don't you join me as a summer intern? So I joined them as a summer intern. It was not really planned. I just, I saw an opportunity, and I took it. And then from there, it just took off, and they gave me a pre-placement offer. I actually never sat for an interview. So that interview was just a phone call where he said that I would like to give you an offer. I said, please send me an email. He did it. And that's how it happened. And then when I was there, I enjoyed myself working with photographers, learning about the camera and tech. And it was not really a big decision, to be honest. If I have to be totally honest with you, it was not something that, I was in two minds. I just wanted to not go back to my family business, because I realized that when I am not able to play, and even then, you won't believe, even then, I had this in my mind, even when I was almost, in my late 20s and I was growing older. I had this in my mind that, there will be a way for me to get back to cricket or some sort of sports if I am outside my hometown. Because if I would have gone back to my family business, there was no way for me to continue with sports. So that was one reason. That was a major reason why I just kept taking things that came my way, so that I could stay away from my hometown and maybe pursue something related to sports later.
So, Keshav, you're saying that even though the other things that you've chosen in your life have somehow showed up and you took them on, but because being closer to a sports environment was always your preferred area. And so when you met Aman and this whole opportunity seems to emerge, you did have to make these lifestyle changes, and which coming from the previous avatar that you were coming from, it definitely meant lesser income that normally would happen to any entrepreneur right up front the first few years. So even though it was lesser income and these lifestyle changes, but being adapted to the way you were started living now, are you saying that you also felt that you didn't even need that kind of money really?
Um, it's a difficult question, to be honest. What happens is when you are living a certain kind of lifestyle, you are living it, and all of us we judge everyone around us, but we don't really we don't really judge ourselves. We feel that everything that we are doing is right. That's the human nature, and that's how things are. So I really didn't know what I was missing, to be honest. I really didn't know what changes I had to make in my life. But a lot of other things were happening in my life, along with the job change. Uh, I was very invested in the job that I was doing. And somehow I felt that no matter how hard I work, it won't be enough for the organization. That was the first realization for me to really think about quitting. Uh, I would practice with Aman, and there were a lot of other things which were happening, which were nice, but those were not compelling enough for me to take that call that, okay, I'll quit. Because when you're deciding to quit, you're also deciding that I'm getting this salary and I won't get it tomorrow. There was no clear business plan at that moment. And for fun's sake, we would say, okay, yeah, one day we do it. That's how you talk with friends, right? Your friend comes up with a proposal, and you like it, and you say, yes, we should do it, and we'll do it together. So that's how it was. I was not sure if he was very serious, but for me to really consider it super seriously was one incident that happened in my office. where I was working with a Japanese guy who I was reporting to. And I had worked really, really hard on a presentation. And for me, that was so important. Actually, it was not a day or two. I worked on that piece of presentation for, I think, 15 days. And after, I felt that, I was really satisfied with the numbers and everything that I presented regarding it. And I went to him and I showed it to my friends. And it was a very important presentation. It was about creating a roadmap for future. And when I showed him and his response to it was extremely rude, and he literally made me feel very, very small, and he made me feel as if I really don't care for the organization and I'm someone who has taken a lot of shortcuts, where I'm not at all that kind of person. And I felt that, no matter how much I put the effort I put into this, it won't be enough for an organization. And I knew it wasn't the fault of the organization. I escalated that matter to the HR and to other seniors in the organization because I was really disheartened. And I decided that, once I quit, I will never join. But I was still in two minds about quitting. And that's when I really started seriously thinking about creating a business plan and evaluating my options. And when I did that, I realized that there is no way I can earn the same amount of money that I'm making with Sony. I was working with Sony at that time with Vanarshala because uh, just because the sheer amount of business I was handling and the position I was in, and it took me 10 years to reach there. And obviously, if you're starting something in a few months, you can't reach the same pay scale. You can't reach the same scale of uh, people and, everything. So that was the time where I realized that I will have to cut down on my costs drastically. And that was a really difficult time because that was a time when everything was, in my personal life also shifting, because when you're taking such an important decision, a lot of your friends, your family, they also tell you that, you're being stupid, you're going through a midlife crisis. Who does this? Who quits a job with a company like that? And why would you quit just because of one incident? And it's such a small thing and you're so immature and all of that. But it was not just that small incident, When I look back in hindsight, it was about the unpleasant experiences that my colleagues would have, even the managing director would have with his boss and his team. So it was just that environment when you are in a corporate, when you are working for a collective, and there are people who are just trying to suck the blood out of your life. And no matter how hard you work, they feel that it's not enough. And yeah, so that was playing on my mind. That around that time, I started going to the mountains a lot alone. I started doing a lot of treks. That gave me a lot of clarity of thought, because on a mountain, all you need to survive is a sleeping bag, some food, and that's it. And you just need to ensure that you are alive when you come back, and that in itself is the most gratifying experience. That gave me perspective, and that helped me understand that I don't really need two cars. I don't really need to live in South Delhi. I don't really need so many business suits. I don't really need to party every Friday, every Saturday. I don't have to go to fancy restaurants. And when I took those calls, life became much happier, and I was at a place where I'm still not earning as much as I was earning when I was with Sony. Not even half of what I was making at Sony, but I'm still happy, and I'm much happier than I was before, because all the time is to myself, and every single day I'm doing things that I want to do. And this podcast is one of those things, sharing my experience, talking to you, meeting like-minded people is what I would keep doing. And that gives me real happiness.
Yeah. So, like Mr. Masaki, if I got the name right, one of your former superiors at work,
Yeah.
he had once said that what you can know after trying a new thing is definitely something like what will not work. You may not necessarily find what will work, right?
Yeah.
But you will find what will not work once you've tried enough. And you took this point home. So
Yeah.
when you got into parkour, you started looking at this particular art and science and sports. When you tried it enough to get enough clarity about it, what were those XYZ things that you might have figured that they will not work in your life in creation of Vanarshala? You tried enough. So were there things that you just figured that these are the things that are not going to work, and these are the things that might work?
What definitely doesn't work in my case is trying to please everyone. That just does not work. It is the perfect recipe to failure. Also, what does not work for me is, a lot of times we do things for uh, because of societal pressures. It's the same thing that I said in the first sentence, but it's slightly different because uh, when you are trying to please even your clients, they are very important. But then there is only so much you can do. After that, you have to let them be, and you have to really make sure that you're giving a great service and that they're enjoying it. And if they still don't enjoy it, it's fine. I mean, a lot of people will not like what you're doing, and you should be totally okay with it. So yeah, so understanding this within my circle of friends and family, and also outsiders, which are clients and vendors and people and employees, that you really can't make everyone happy, and what you need to know what you want to do. And as long as you are clear with that thought process, it's fine. Everything will not work out. And if it doesn't work out, it will be all right after a point. So that's the biggest learning that I've learned. And then there are some specific things, like when it comes to training, what I have learned is after making a lot of mistakes, after getting injured many, many times, is that every day of practice won't be the best day of practice. Sometimes you just have to get up and show up, and it's just a routine. It's just like brushing your teeth. And these days when you're not feeling well, today is one of those days. I had a very bad stomach ache last night, and today morning before the call, I have to get up at 6:30 and go out and practice for some time with myself. So that's what I did. And although I was not up to it, I was, feeling very tired, slightly feverish. But then doing that and knowing now that I have done it gives me like the real happiness. And I know this goes a really, really long way, because the same thing has helped me in all fields in my life, being consistent and
The discipline.
the discipline of being consistent.
What's your vision? Where do you see Vanarshala?
So there's a story behind the name. I would like to share that.
Yes.
So Vanarshala has its roots in our culture, in our existence as the human race. So first is we've all evolved from Vanars, and everything that a Vanar does, we should be able to do as humans, which is jumping, climbing, vaulting, and being able to balance, being able to be really agile and have enough strength to go against the gravity. And these are things that all of us can do if we train ourselves. So that's one aspect of how we are connecting back to our roots. And the other is, it's a Hindi, it's a Sanskrit name. It's not something which is English, although we are talking in English right now. But the thought was that we should stay connected to our culture, our roots. That's why Vanarshala. And at Vanarshala, we practice something called Vanargiri. Now, Vanargiri is not only a movement practice, it is a little more than that. Then we are trying to be connected to our roots. We have to be connected to the earth where we are living, and try to be as nimble and try to reduce our carbon footprint as much as we can. So that's why, the farm where we live, I am not living there, but Kriti, Aman, and the other trainers are living there. they are also farming there, and they are trying to eat that food that they grow, which is pesticides free. And we are also doing composting there. We are also doing rainwater harvesting. So all these things that we are trying to do is to just stay connected to our roots and be as nimble as soft on the planet as possible. So the practice of Vanargiri is to live in a way that you reduce your carbon footprint while being your strongest possible self. So our vision is to take Vanargiri to the world. It's not just about the country, the city, but we would want in 5 to 10 years that Vanargiri is established as a practice that can be practiced anywhere in the world. And movement is just an element, but it's a lifestyle. So that's what our vision is. And it's a lofty vision, but what's the point of having a vision which is easily achievable?
It hardly is a vision.
True.
So let's go a little back beyond the last 2 years, into the several years in your life. And as I have been talking to you, and I realized that you are a goal digger, you're creating challenges for yourself and creating goals for yourself and digging them out. Are there any traces of it back in your childhood?
Oh yes.
What is it?
So this is something very. It can be funny. It can be interesting for some people. So it was, I think, in the year 1992 or 93, when Kapil Dev broke the world record of taking maximum wickets. And that was the time when I gave myself the first goal. And the goal was not cricket related. If it was cricket related, maybe I would have succeeded. It was not to take the highest number of wickets. It was, there was a song written for Kapil Dev by Bappi Lahiri back then, and which was a very popular song. And there were only one or two channels, and there was FM. So that song was all over the place. And as a child, I used to run with the ball in my hand, uh, running to that song, literally dancing and running to that song, and just bowling with a plastic or a tennis ball. And I wanted someone to write a song for me. And that song was, I don't know if it was for taking maximum wickets or whatever, but I just wanted someone to write a song. And that was the inspiration for me to really, really work hard, and I have this habit, I still have it, of writing down goals. So you won't believe, I actually took this goal off of my list in 2018. It was still there. So it was still there in my diary for something
Being written for you.
on me for doing something great in cricket. As now I know the importance of having clearly defined goals. If I had put a goal that I want that to happen by 2000 and for taking maximum crickets or for playing for India, it might have come true. But I didn't have a defined timeline. So God was like, okay, you have this. I'll keep pushing it into the future. And I had to eventually take it off my list. So yeah. So this was something very, very
really uncanny. I mean, look at the legends here, Kapil Dev and Bappi Lahiri.
Yeah.
Their whole connection of appreciation in this spirit. And what you took off from it, I really thought you would say that it is about making the, crossing the mark of Kapil Dev and beating him on the score there.
No, I wish I had that. I had that clarity of thought when I was a child. I so wish, but it wasn't. Um, but then now I have a current goal. It's not in the past. Now I have a goal. I want to do.
What is it?
I want to do an Ironman race, and I'm not very sure when I will be able to do it. But let's see if I keep training and if things open up, because I want to do it in Switzerland. So hopefully maybe 2023 is when I should be able to do it. But for that, I'll have to train for one full year. So next year, when things open up, because you need to go out and swim, because there's a very important element of swimming into it.
Right.
You can't swim really fast and well if you haven't trained for it. And all the swimming pools are shut thanks to the pandemic. So yeah. So,
but I hear you. I hear that you put a date to this goal.
yeah,
Song episode.
without a deadline, they don't have. That's something I've learned.
I can very clearly see it emerging. I mean, the fact that the song did not get written for you, it's not going to repeat itself. Now you have a date for 2023.
Yes, July 2023.
July 2023. We hear you. We hear you.
Yes.
Superb. So there's a date, there's a plan, and there's the gold digger chasing it. Lovely. There's another thing that you're chasing, and that is as an entrepreneur. What is it?
So, as an entrepreneur, like I said, this is our vision. But what we are thinking in the mid to long run is that trying to help as many people as we can through our practice.
Yep.
And we would like to have more centers in the future, obviously. And at the same time, there are different segments within the business where we'd like to grow. So there is online, there is offline, which has centers, and then maybe something else which is related to the same practice, but also adding a lot of value to the end customer. So we are actually, when it comes to business, we are always trying different things. Right now, we have a YouTube channel where we try to post every week and try to deliver value to those who can't join us, those who don't have a fixed time in the morning or evening. These are videos that they can watch anytime and work out. That is one.
Right.
And then about facilities, I have seen a few different places in Delhi and also outside Delhi where we can open up potentially when markets open. Those talks are are at a very advanced stage. That, and for online, one is the online classes that we have. Then in the mid to long run, I would like to create a structure on that. Also we are working, which is sort of a curriculum for kids, because right now what is happening is kids are just playing popular sports. They are not really connected to their bodies, and that's the reason why a lot of them get injured at a very early age. So what we want to do is we want to take it up really seriously and create a curriculum which is a 3 month, a 6 months, or a 1 year program where the workout is not a very long workout. Maybe it can be something which is 15 to 20 minutes, but then through that workout they are getting more and more aware of their body. They are getting more and more aware of what their strengths and weaknesses are and how it will help them in a particular kind of sport. Because you should not pick up any sport just because it is popular. For some people, maybe hockey is good. For some, maybe cricket is good. And for others, maybe swimming is good. But if you are not aware of what your capabilities are, you will end up making that mistake, and just going with the popular choice.
Yeah.
So a lot of kids are training with us. They are doing parkour and they are really enjoying themselves. And the best thing about what we do is that kids are kids when they train, they are not, there is no pressure. Whereas if you are playing a sport like cricket or football, there's a lot of pressure. Like in football, you have to score a goal. In cricket, you have to score runs. It's a team sport, but within that team sport, you have to perform as an individual. Whereas in parkour, whereas in movement practice, it's fine if I can't jump, just because I'm competing with myself and I'll jump less today. And if I can't climb, I won't climb, because there is no competition. I'm not doing it against anyone else. I'm just doing it with myself. At the end of the day, I will come home after experiencing the obstacles and just playing around the obstacles, and that's enough.
So just becoming a better version of yourself every day.
Yeah.
What sort of situations stop you, since you're coming across mentally very strong, physically, of course, very strong? So what sort of situations in life stop you or challenge you?
Yeah. I think the biggest challenge has been, for me, it has been myself. And sometimes, so I would say that it is my own self, because I wouldn't like to blame anyone else. I have been in a relationship and in business partnerships where I wanted to come out of it, and sooner rather than later, I came out eventually. But it wasn't that person that stopped me. It was my mind playing tricks on me that it can't be ended, it can't cease to exist. And when I prepared myself enough, uh, I could stop it from harming me beyond a point. So I think it is about your own mind, and for me at least, it is that, because the same thing happened in my job, the same thing happened in some of my business ventures after my job, and the same thing happened in one of my relationships. So it wasn't the other person. The other person gave me enough signals that it was not okay for me to be in that situation, and it was me who was stuck, and I had to prepare myself mentally to come out of it. And when I did that, I could.
So when you say you have to prepare yourself to come out of these, it seems like you're connecting from a personal story to work, to employers, to maybe friends, and yet seeing that you were the common help between the decision. Could you see any patterns that helped you come out of those? What are those things that you did, if at all consistently, um, that eventually led to your freedom?
It's taking actions. A lot of times I have seen my friends cribbing about something but not doing anything. So either you don't crib, either you don't say that, it's not working for me. And if you are at that stage where it's not working for you, you have to take one small action every single day.
Beautiful. What could be the one reason which you maybe haven't been very vocal about, but it is a significant part of the life that you're living right now?
Um, uh, that nothing happens yesterday. That's something I'm not vocal about, but I know this because everything. If you are training, you have to train every day for a long period of time. If you're building something, if it's a business, you have to do certain things for a very, very long period of time. And the same goes for relationships, for investments, for there are shortcuts which are very tempting, but if you know that there's going to be a tomorrow and it's going to be okay, and not be too harsh on yourself, then things turn out all right. When I say not being too harsh on yourself, I mean it this way. I don't mean that you should be casual with yourself. You have to do certain things. Like there's a very thin line between, some people will take it otherwise. Some people will say, oh, I'm not being too harsh on myself. Let me sleep till 10 a.m. That's being silly with yourself. That's being like really, really, I don't want to use those words, but like really not being ignorant and
Yeah.
yeah, and lazy and not disciplined. When I say not being harsh on yourself, is that okay, you've decided you'll get up at a certain time and you will go out and train. And when you train, let's say you are wanting to do a handstand and it has taken you 2 months and still you can't do a handstand. Mentally being prepared that I will only stop when will be able to do a handstand is a much better strategy than thinking that, oh, it didn't happen today. Oh my God, there's something wrong with me. You know what I mean? So that's what it is. That's what it is. And that's something that I don't speak about much, but I really know very deep down within me that this is true for myself, that it takes time. And all you have to do, all you have control over is what you do every day.
Beautiful. Have there been any people in your life who now you can reflect back and see that they also lived this thought process and have probably shaped you in who you are today, directly, indirectly?
My father, I think my father has had the greatest impact on my life. And although he's no more, and when he was alive, we had many differences because he didn't want me to continue with sports, and I shouldn't. And there is no reason for me to blame anyone. It was me. If I really wanted, I could have done it. But then he did not want me to do it. So there was a clear, stand from him that I don't want you to pursue sports as a career. But in spite of that, what he did in his life, his story was very inspiring, and it continues to inspire me. And I always look back at how he was, how he did things, and how he built everything bit by bit, and eventually passed away with no qualms, with no tensions, or the responsibilities, or anything for that matter. He passed away really early. He passed away at the age of 61, and it was an accident. It was very sudden. Shouldn't have happened at that time. But in spite of that, it didn't put anybody in the family in any kind of trouble. And in fact, he made it so smooth that all of us were settled. And it was a very natural progression of everything that was happening in his business, to his brother and others. And it was just so seamless. And knowing this now, that it wasn't planned, he obviously nobody expected that
Yeah.
he managing to pull that off must have taken a lot of meticulous planning over decades. And he started earning when he was in class 3, and his father was not alive, and my grandmother had come from he was alive, but he was not living with the family. So for him, his father was never there. And then eventually he passed away, and my grandmother came from Pakistan during partition, leaving everything behind. So my father was the eldest son, and then he did everything slowly. He built a business, he learned and studied, and he had 3 more brothers and sisters. He was their father, you know. So he did a lot of great things, lot of things that I can always reflect back and learn from. In fact, last month I was in Lucknow for about 45 days, and I was going through his papers, his files, and I saw a lot of handwritten letters that he had preserved from, which were very inspiring and motivational letters by his maternal uncle and by others in the family who were motivating him when he was a child to stay strong. And he had kept them, laminated them, and kept them for years. So I can see that inspiration coming from a certain source. And yeah, so I think,
Beautiful.
yeah, some of the things I've taken from him. And if I wish I could be, I could do things like he did, that would be a dream.
I mean, what complicated souls we humans can be, right? I mean, like today you can reflect upon the journey that your father has had and it actually inspires you. But there's also been a phase of resistance and a phase of not agreement of ideas. And
Mm.
that brings me to a question that if you had a choice, what different would you be doing or what would you like to change?
Right. The only thing that I would like to change is, I would like him to be alive. Nothing else, to be honest. Everything else is fine, you know.
Yeah.
It's okay. I couldn't play cricket. What I'm doing right now is very satisfying. And I'm sure that if I keep doing this, what I'm doing, I will get the happiness. I am already happy, but the thing is that, if I could change that, and if I could, you know, just eliminate his
Have
death from the calendar altogether, I think she would be very proud. and and we could have maybe had some good times together. So apart from that, I don't think I want to change anything.
Wow. More power to you.
Thank you.
The last question. I was wondering that because you are a serial entrepreneur and you are also very, very multifaceted, you are into sports, of course, but you're also into photography, you're also into film, into content creation, and all the way into the most new talked about technology of blockchain and NFTs. So that, of course, like what we spoke earlier, there's just no natural connection between one thing or the other that you often have been found doing. Uh, but of course, all of these spaces are where you've been the leader or you've been at the responsibility end. So I was wondering that what are your learnings in terms of vision whenever you're creating a mission and a vision? If not the funds and if not the team, what is that other important aspect of a mission and a vision to keep it alive and to keep it going?
Possibilities. So,
And who creates those possibilities?
so if there is a field that interests me, it interests me because I feel that there are possibilities. And a lot of times things will start only from an individual, you know. For example, if you spoke about blockchain, if Satoshi Nakamoto hadn't thought about writing that white paper of Bitcoin or
Yeah.
not creating Bitcoin, we wouldn't have had 10,000 tokens and coins today. And he wouldn't have shaken the whole world's economy, and
Yeah.
and not even 1% of the world population is actually really aware of what blockchain can do there. So there are immense possibilities in all of these fields, and I think there are these possibilities. I really don't need validation from anyone else to tell me that they are there. If as long as I am convinced, there will be people who will trust, and there will be people who will have doubts, and that's okay. If there are no one doubting you, then there is something seriously wrong. So a lot of people, a lot of people doubt. A lot of people say negative things, say it's not possible. Like my best friend used to tell me that you're making the biggest mistake by quitting. And his way of retaliation was that every time he met me after I had quit, he would say, "You pay. You pay because you have a lot of money. I told you not to quit." So, yeah. And in the same way, you will have people who will just move out of your life just because you don't have enough money or you're not working for a reputed um, corporate organization. But it's fine as long as you know and you are convinced as an individual that for you there are possibilities. And if you can create that a vision out of those possibilities, like for example, I just told you what our vision is for Vanarshala.
Yeah.
If we know what possibilities are there with Vanargiri and how can we add value to people, not only in the country but even outside, there will be people who will come get attracted to this energy and they will be a part of it, and then we might have something which is very meaningful.
Yeah. So Keshav, how, like, when a person is chasing possibilities and or a passion, which is very clear in one's head, just like yours, but situations do not align. Enrollment does not happen. Is it fair? Is it all right, according to you, to take a detour to move on to something else, which which helps you either pass the time, which helps you maybe put a pool of funds together, which helps you probably network into one of the streams, while of course trying to keep your vision aligned. Do you recommend that if one has to detour for any of those reasons, it's all right? Or you think it's not worth it and just be at what you're doing? Why detour at all?
No, I think self-awareness is very, very important here. It's not only about chasing a dream mindlessly. It's about being aware of what your weaknesses are. That's more important than knowing your strengths. So if this is where I'm weak and this is what I cannot do, then the likelihood of you not making a mistake is less. But then it's all right. A lot of people make mistakes. A lot of situations don't align. Like, for example, if we didn't have online classes, it would have been very difficult for us to sustain. And if we had still, but there was no way for us to continue if we didn't have online classes, right? So in the same way, if you but then, like I said, these two things, the first statement I made, that people want success yesterday and they just want it today, right now, abhi.
Yeah.
That won't happen. That has to be absolutely clear. But also it shouldn't be the case that you're just chasing something mindlessly for years and you're getting clear indications from you're getting absolutely clear feedback from your clients and people around you and the industry that what you're doing is not working and it's not reflecting in your bank balance. It will obviously not give you any happiness, because you will get rejection and you will get people to say that what you're doing is not okay. So it cannot give you happiness in that scenario. Then it's okay to take a detour. It's okay to change course completely. But as long as you are aware of your weaknesses, as long as you know that, this is my domain and there are certain things which I won't be successful at, and there are certain things which I won't do. And after doing that trial and error, you have come to a point where you've decided that, I won't do A, B, C. Let's say, for example, I don't want to be working for a corporate. That's not the future path that I'm going to take. I don't want to be in sales. I don't want to be in insurance. But at the same time, I want to be in fitness, and I am open to exploring different possibilities within fitness. Right now, I'm pursuing parkour. In future, it can be yoga. In future, it can be maybe animal flow. And I'm willing to give myself 2 years to each of these disciplines. And then at the end of 6 years, I will evaluate what should be my career path. And you may not go to that level. You may not reach the 6-year deadline. Within 6 months, you might know that, oh, parkour is for me and this is it. And then you're getting success and you don't have to be good. I think if goal setting and vision setting is objective and is with a lot of self-awareness, and you are willing to make mistakes, it's possible, it's likely that you will be on the right track.
Beautiful. So with that, what I learned, and I would like to recap and summarize in my own way to everybody who's listening, is that whenever in life we look at stuck as a moment of really being stuck, and we often feel that it is not because of us, but it is because of the environment around, about the people around, about the situations, the government policies around, which definitely completely are out of our control. Here is a point to ponder, that it really is about me, myself, you, yourself. The person who is going to create those possibilities and is going to go further on those possibilities is you, just like Keshav. And things are going to be not the hunky-dory, things are not going to be exactly how we want it at all points of time. And then it is all about revisiting whether revisiting the thought and your own intuition of whether you really feel like staying committed to that or not. It's okay to move on as well. it is not really so that if you committed to something or if you're seen as a person in a particular space, then you cannot and must not change it. That's least important. That the other people who you are probably worried about and their opinions are not really going to change anything to happen for a good in your own life, in my life. So it's we, I, me, you, Keshav, at our own individual capacities who have to anyways take care of the life forward. So evaluate where you stand today and dream really big, dream really high, take the risk. Of course, the inevitable only happens when somebody's really chasing, and then just go for it. But yes, again, like what Keshav said, it may not happen overnight. Most probably, it will not happen overnight at all. So yes, be prepared for the longer haul of it. Keep your Russian bun intact for the longer haul of it. It's going to be long if you're chasing a fish. If you're really enjoying flirting with it, it's a journey that isn't that Keshav?
True. Absolutely.
Lovely. Keshav, I can't really thank you in a few words because it's been learning. It's been a lot of moments of relatability. Very, very happy to have met you and connected with you.
Same here.
Very happy and very excited to see that your thoughts go on to thousands and lakhs of people all across the world. And the idea is that if it can just inspire one soul somewhere up there and help one person iron out a crease on their forehead, it will be worth everything that we all put together to make it through this recording.
Thank you so very much. It has been absolute pleasure talking to you. And I can't really thank enough. And these meaningful discussions is what I really, really crave for. So it has been an absolute pleasure for me. Thank you.
Thank you. Thank you, Keshav. And we hope more people get to explore Vanarshala. Here's a shout out. Explore. And like Keshav has been giving an example of it just not being just for the kids, really. It is for anybody at any age because fitness at any level cannot be compromised. So explore Vanarshala. Now the fact that they are available online, there's just absolutely no excuse to location or to approach or anything. Vanarshala is available on Instagram. They're approachable. Keshav is approachable on Instagram, on Facebook, and Google makes it easy these days. So let none of that be an excuse to connecting with Vanarshala and looking at how you could go about your motion, your movement, and your understanding of how to cross an obstruction. So 3 cheers to Vanarshala, to progressive thinking, and to you, Keshav.
Thank you. Thank you.
Thanks a lot.